This video is about All Things Come of Thee in the AMNI hymnal, that is arrangement number 644. It is attributed to Ludwig van Beethoven. For those unfamiliar with the title, this is a song response. In my experience, the two lines are sung after collecting the offering. The lines are, "All things come of Thee, O Lord, and of Thine own have we given Thee." This response is taken directly from 1 Chronicles 29:14b. It is nearly an exact quote from the King James translation. What is the context of 1 Chronicles 29:14? The verse comes from a prayer made by David after he and the nobility donated many riches to the fund for building the temple. The next day, Solomon was confirmed as king, suggesting that the temple donations were made as a part of the festivities marking the transition of power from David to Solomon, and also as a way to show support for the new monarch, Solomon. I can see a connection between this sung response being used during the offering ritual and the words coming from a prayer to mark the donation of riches to build the temple in Jerusalem. Both are times that people donate money or its equivalent in order to support having a place to communally worship. My question is about the responsibility of using this response without discussing what the church intends it to mean. I have this question because most of my experience with Christianity has been influenced by what is commonly called prosperity gospel. In other words, if you just pray enough and believe enough and do the right things enough, you'll get good things. In my experience, this belief was tempered with an admission that sometimes we don't understand why God allows Christians to experience hardship, but the main idea was still there. Do enough of certain things, and you'll receive good things. Don't do enough of those things, and it's your fault when you experience hardship. My comments on that belief are for another day. In this video, I want us to think about how someone from a background like mine might understand the response, all things. If this response were used without any discussion on what it is intended to teach the congregation, I would think the church had a strong connection to prosperity gospel, which in my opinion is no gospel at all. I will say that in my particular church, I don't think this is the case, but when I was looking for a church, I was hesitant about any that regularly gave any sort of message suggesting that if you gave a lot of money to the church, then God will give you plenty of money. On the other hand, using a direct quote from Scripture in a context similar to how it is used in Scripture can be a positive. At the same time, I would say the difference between using all things connecting to collecting money from the entire congregation and David saying the lines as part of a prayer after the people with the most social power gave to the temple building fund is something worth considering. That's a thought I want to leave you with. Think about the difference between the most powerful, and likely the richest, people giving to a building fund versus the poor people donating their money to the church in general. A one-off event compared to a continual event. A specific event compared to a general event. Then think about how telling the poorest people that giving away their money is how God will provide them with more money. When you think about this, don't just think about the scripture passages that talk about tithes, offerings, and other giving. Also think about the passages that talk about how God, including Jesus, provided for the poor. That's all for this video. Remember, asking questions is the way we build a strong faith. Until next time, keep asking.